Hmm. 3, 2. Oh, are you as excited as I am for tonight? Technical things are working. Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Lee with the Emerald Compass coming live to you in our Facebook group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart, with day 3 of the Sacred Soul Soiree. So as we're getting to know, hi, Sina, so glad you could join us. So let's just give a few minutes for other people to start popping on. Yay, I am so excited that it worked. I was having a few glitches with my camera. I'm like, come on, man, you got to work for me tonight. So please go ahead and type in the text chat if you can see me and if you can hear me okay. Whew. I'm going like, whew. So excited. So make sure you have your water with you. Make sure you have, if you were able to download the worksheets for tonight, there's a couple of practices I'm going to share with you, and the importance of sacred storytelling and how we, yep and yep, awesome. So, yum, yum, yum. Yeah, it's like people are starting to pop on. Hi, Carol. Hi, Sherry. So nice that you could all join us. Let's just wait another minute or so. Oh, yeah, I forgot to grab my phone because sometimes people need help and they text me. But we'll just have the faith that everybody's going to get on. Okay, got the worksheet and finishing my margarita. Whoa. So let me just double check to make sure nobody's notified me anywhere else. Carol, if you could go ahead and keep an eye on that, maybe somebody is like saying something in the Facebook group, because I'm not in the Facebook group with this live. And let me know if anybody's having any issues getting on. That would be awesome. So Carol Iverson is one of my team members. She is incredible, and she's here to not only support me, but also to support everyone else in this group and in the things that we're doing, the things that we're creating, and the things that we are bringing forth. Yeah. One of the things is an 8-month program, the Emerald Compass Sisterhood. But we'll talk more about that later this week. So while we're waiting for other people to get on live with us, how is everybody doing? How has been Monday and Tuesday night already? How's everything going for you? Do you have any comments or concerns or questions you want to bring forth that you might have a question about? If you want to just, I can see people texting. Okay. Yes, I will let you know. Thank you. So this kind of screen is new to me because I got the texting on the left side and my video on the right side, and it's new. I'm not actually in the Facebook group. I'm on this other kind of screen. So if somebody is typing or coming in the actual Facebook group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart, I'm not able to see that with the screen that I am on right now. Carolyn, woohoo, she's in the house. Love it. You knocked it out of the park last night. Yes. Yes. I love to hear that. I know we ran over, and thank you. Really. Thank you for understanding that, because it just wanted to keep the information. And I know we were late getting on with all the technical difficulties, and I really appreciate everybody working together, and all the comments that everybody was doing. Because do you realize that when you are adding things in, when you're making comments, when you're sharing, that you're actually adding, I feel like I have a hair in my eye, you're actually adding to the energy, to this container that we are creating together. So with that said, just take a deep breath. Allow all things that don't support you right now in this moment to go. If you can, turn off all your notifications. Be in a space where you won't be distracted or interrupted. And just do your best. Do your best. You know, we live on a farm, and we have 13 grandchildren and 5 children, and sometimes you don't know when somebody's gonna stop by. You just don't know. And I used to be in this gotta be so professional box when I would do things like this. I really felt eventually like I wasn't being my true self. So I let that go. I do my best. I create my outline. I and I let it go, because then it opens me up to the essence and flow of who I am and what wants to come through. So this is Sacred Souls Soiree, day 3, where we're going to talk about sacred storytelling. Hi, everyone. I'm Tammy Lee, and I am a multidimensional, besides being a grandma, I'm a multidimensional, very intuitive facilitator of healing experiences. I'm an energy tracker. I have an array of different gifts that have been coming online more and more and more that I do my inner work. And I have been called forth to not only do this 9-day event, but also to create a program. And this program has been in the works for probably close to 2 years. And yeah, Sina, it has, hasn't it? Holy cow, it started before, but Sina, who's on here, she actually, she's done work with me, and she actually encouraged me to write a syllabus. She's like, Tammy, you gotta teach this stuff. You gotta do more. You gotta teach this stuff in the local university. So I actually wrote a syllabus. But you know what? It wasn't the right timing. It wasn't what it meant to be. It wasn't the right name, wasn't the right format, not the right energy, not the right year, just all that kind of stuff. And every time I thought I had to, every time I thought, now's the time, physical stuff would happen. And to the point to where it's like, girl, listen to me. Not yet. Until now. And we'll talk more about that later. Talk more about that tomorrow night. I so care. So just take a deep breath into your heart. I so care about making sure that acceleration of coming into our essence, into our sacred purpose, into our sacred knowing, into these gifts that we have. And helping women, especially women, to to allow the veils to drop away, to allow the masks to come off that we have put on not knowingly, to help you along your path. That's part of my passion for doing this work, for being, for not only for you, but for living a legacy. I've talked about that earlier today on the Make Shift Happen show that I do every Wednesday at noon here in the group, Ignite Your Joyful Heart. And some of the things that, like, it took me decades to get where I am at. And if I can help you to accelerate that, girl, I am with you. There's no time to waste. There is no time to waste, women. It is our time to step up and heal our ancestry. Create a new living legacy. Not just what we leave, but what we live today. And it's not always an easy path. And that's why we need our sisterhood, our comrades, our supporters that see us, that see that see more in us than we can see ourselves, and love it and help us to live into that instead of taking control of it. Been there, done that. Had that happen to me. So before we get started, I'm so excited to share that we have some prize winners. Remember, I said, and I already posted this in the text chat, there will be prizes given away. Hey, Diana, how are you, darling? So glad that you could join us. I'm about ready to give away some prizes. The criteria is in the Facebook group. I just posted again today as a gentle reminder, the different things to do to win a prize. So as some of you know, I'm also not only just am I, a facilitator, multidimensional intuitive and facilitator and healer of really grand experiences, but I'm also an international bestseller of The Second Start, finding joy in the new you. And we can always have a second start. Tomorrow, right now, can be our second start. There's nothing. And if there's nothing that keeps us held down to where we are. And I'm here to give you permission to create your second start if that's what you need. So this is the book. And we have some winners. Boop, 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 boop. And you also go into a drawing of who gets to win a one-on-one with Tammy Lee. They're flipping amazing. They blows me away every session I do. Like, it just expands and deepens more and more. They're just astonishing. And some of you here you've worked with me. Just go ahead and type in the text chat the different. How would you describe working one-on-one with me? Can you imagine? Can you imagine working in a group where the energy, just like this group right here that we're creating, this container we're creating, like how we exponentially multiply that energy of who we are? Yeah. You know what? I just realized, Carol, can you please go into the Emerald Compass group, post something over there, and let all those women know, hey, we're live over here. So they come over here so they can be live with us just in case they missed it. I just like that just popped in my head. So winner, winner, winner. The second start, finding joy in the new you, is there's 3 of them, and this is Monday and Tuesday combined. Deb Matthews, whoop, whoop. Carol Hansen, or Hasten. Oh, did I write her name down right? Oh, doggone it. Maybe I forgot the N. Sorry, Carrie. Oh, and I said Carol, didn't I? Okay, Tammy, calm down. You know you're excited. I love giving away things. I love it, love it. Okay, so Carrie, I'm sorry, Carrie, if it's Hansen or Hasten. I think it's Hansen, but I forgot to write the N. Forgive me, please. Oh. Oh. So, Deb Matthews, whoop, whoop. Yeah. You want a book? Carrie, you want a book? And Carolyn, you're on here. I just saw you. You want a book too. So I need all of you ladies to direct message me with your addresses so I can get those sent out to you. And I'm going to personally sign each and every one of them. And what I do is okay, so I feel like you've already given your permission for me to tap into your energy because you're here. But I tap into your energy before I write a message in it. So there'll be a high frequency message in it too, just for you. Yeah. So some of the things that people are saying that have worked with me one-on-one is, Sina says, her sessions with me gave her a voice. When you have that voice, that it finally comes through and you can start speaking your truth without inhibition, with freedom, with no fear. Carol says, the stuff that comes up when working with Tammy is crazy amazing. Oh, that's funny. Crazy amazing. Okay, so how many of you, so can you feel that? Can you feel that energy? Like just, it's palpable. It's like, can you taste it? This energy that we are feeding each other, supporting each other with in this container. I'm so glad I said yes to this. I'm so glad. And so is my spirit. And so is my entourage. Can you feel that, Deb? Can you feel the forest people here with us? Jumping up and down with joy? So glad I said yes to doing this, to getting out of the fear of what am I even going to share with you all? Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, Carol. Let me go over there right quick. So let me just get in here and let the women know in the Emerald Compass that we are live over here. Thank you for being with us on this. Ooh. 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 Something else that one of my gifts is toning. Ooh. I can feel that wanting to come through. Ooh. Ooh. Thank you for that. So not only is it our words, we're speaking our truth, but it's also our sound that desires to come through when we open more of us up to our interdimensional being, when we heal those different things. Just today, I went through that, feeling a disconnect in my body, in my spine, and working with a group of remarkable people that I can still feel that happening, that opening. So I can more for you tonight. So one of the things Carolyn says is, I remember the first time I met you, Tammy, the one thing you said to me, and it still resonates to this day. And I think it's almost, has it been about 2 years, Carolyn, since we met? Is use your words. And to this day, it still resonates with her. Still with her. Okay. So as we start to talk about sacred storytelling, I want to take us back to a time before, even before words were words, and maybe that's why this tone came through, because sacred tones, thank you for that. That was a way of emitting and transferring energy and sharing different ways of communication. Thank you. Sharing different ways of communication. And then we had drawing of pictures before there were words. I mean, we have proof of that. In the caves, just statues. Like a statue can share a story if we just allow it to. I remember being in Egypt 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago in February. It was 2 years ago in February. And just the magnificence of seeing the wall before words were words. And they drew on the walls of the different temples. And it told a story. And when we tap into our sacred story, when we tap into that, those happenings, those experiences, and when we start to share them. And tonight it's about the ones that bring us joy, the ones that make us happy, the ones that that maybe we didn't know they were sacred. Yet, when they've made a difference in our life, when they've helped us to reconnect to our soul, to our spirit, to our knowingness. Yeah. When they have done that for us, that is what tells us they're sacred. So as you see the quote on there that I put on for tonight, there will be times in our lives that we will be asked to be the calming force with everything that's going around. The calming force. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for that? To be that calming force? Maybe you already are. But as we develop our sacred stories and as we bring them forth, so we at least have them in our awareness, not only do they allow us to be the calming force, that we can pull that up and share that, but we actually have the ability to be a brighter vessel for others. And as we start to uncover those stories and bring them forth and have them in our awareness and fill up our treasure box with story after story after story, we help other people to come alive again also. You know, my mother-in-law, who passed away over 20 years ago, it is really important. I see this. You know, if we see this in the children, not just like in our children. Like my youngest daughter is 31, and when we tell stories about, we call her, the kids always called her Momo. Whether it's Tim's dad, which they don't tell the stories very much. And I don't know if it's because of the pain of the missing her, and I encourage my husband, because this is his mom, and it reminds me, so thank you for this, seriously, because this is reminding me to encourage my husband to share stories about his mom, so that our children and our grandchildren can get to know her on other levels that can bring, like, I remember, oh, thank you. Okay, Natalie, I hear you. I remember the one time that she had a skip in her step. And it was because her friend was coming from Oregon to a school reunion. And that was one of the very few times I ever saw Natalie. That's her name. But other people called her Tootsie or Toots or Nathy. Nobody called her by her full name, Natalie. And I can feel her essence with me right now. This wasn't even on the agenda or on my thing to even talk about. So this is pretty incredible right now. She was glowing. She was so full of life. She was glowing. I need to tell that story to my children. I can feel that. Let them know I glowed. Yeah. And I also remember the story, which I do tell my children and grandchildren. She never finished high school because she was pregnant with my husband and she was so sick, she never got to finish. She was too sick to finish. I also was a teen mom, but I was determined to finish and get my degree, my high school diploma. That's one of the things, because of what she experienced. Tammy, you got to do what you got to do to make sure you graduate, to make sure you get that diploma. And by her sharing that with me, because I was sick too, I was determined to finish high school and get my diploma. I finished early in March instead of May, but because of that story she shared with me, it encouraged me to make sure I graduated with full credits. Even though I had my baby before the graduation, but see, to me, that's a sacred story. How many of you is this resonating with? Do you understand what I'm sharing about sacred stories and how much importance they bring? How much importance they have. So let me know if this is resonating with you. If you have some, I want to make sure I'm walking down the right path with us all. Okay? Awesome. Yes, it resonates. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Deb. I don't know why, Deb, but all of a sudden I see us sitting in with the forest people, and they're telling us stories. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That is, wow. So, why do people need to hear these? Not only does it help them to be brighter, it can actually encourage them. It can give them hope. Telling our stories, especially those that are sacred to us, can give us hope. How many people can use hope in the world, especially right now? Right? Too many to count. It also helps to reveal our own capacities and our capabilities. And it helps us to, I can see y'all. I can see it like standing tall. Like, yeah, I made a difference. Sharing our sacred stories, writing them, can also help us through life when a curveball comes. I remember, and I didn't know this at the time. Oh my gosh, Carolyn, really? Carolyn just piped it. I read a short memory story to my granddaughter at least once a week. That's amazing. Good for you. Thank you for that. Didn't even think about that. I bet you have a book, lady. I'm seeing this book. Yeah, I'm seeing this book for you, Carolyn. That's touching. Wow. Okay, so our stories can help when life throws us a curveball and we're just like taken out. And I remember especially, and I did not know this at the time, but during my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, Pearl. She was my saving grace when I was growing up. I knew that I knew that I knew I was loved. I grew up never feeling loved, except for my grandmother. And let me go back to that. I grew up never feeling loved. And did not know until I told the story of that in my 40s with my sister. I'm the middle child. I'm the middle I have there's three girls, three of us. I'm the middle of the three girls. When I shared that story with my sisters, because I thought I was all alone in that, they were like, oh, I grew up never feeling loved too. I grew up never feeling loved too. I'm like, what the hell, man? All three of us did. Now, if we would have shared that with each other at the very beginning, like that, I'm 50, I'm going to be 58 this month. That wasn't revealed until in my 40s. So think of all those years that we could have been supporting each other in that capacity had we shared that story. Took it to the next step and shared that story of never feeling loved to my mother, not out of wanting her to feel guilt or remorse, but out of sharing. And then I did not know what she shared back with me. She grew up the same way. So this is a really valid point, women. Hear this. And this is not about guilt or shame, nothing, but this is about awareness. Because had I not taken care, so my mom had this. Okay? I do a lot of work. So I can tap in. So like my grandmother, my mom's mom, came to me. She's passed over when my mom was 11 to 13-ish. We had a conversation. Even though, because that's one of my gifts, she came to me and we had a conversation. But because my mom, and not saying no fault, right? Okay, there's no fault here. But because she didn't take care of that emotion, that story, that feeling of never being loved, no matter what she did raising us girls, that energy came into us. That's why, that's another reason I do what I do that I do. I work on myself diligently. I work with other women diligently so we can clear these pathways, so we can clear, transmute, transform these energies so they no longer exist. So our children, grandchildren, all the lineages that come after us. And did you know that all the lineages that came before us, that it goes both ways when we do this work? Yes. The healing is incredible. So my grandmother, she passes away. She'd been sick, but I was not expected. This was such an unexpected event for me. It took me out. And I couldn't cry. I couldn't even cry. And then I found out after the fact. And then I was pissed at my dad because there was a wake. There was like things before her funeral and he never told me. So I didn't even know about any of this till I showed up for the funeral. And then my cousins are saying, well, why didn't you come last night? We had a wake. We had family time for grandma. I'm like, nobody ever told me. So I had anger. I was pissed. When my husband and I drove up, and I had not really cried. It's like, but as soon as we parked in front of the funeral home, the floodgates opened, and I could not move. I could not get out of the car. I just bawled and bawled and bawled. So I was in my early 20s because I was pregnant. Okay, how old is Jenna? Tara's 31, Jenna's 34. So 34 years ago. So let's just say, so let's see, I'm 57 minus 34. Is that 24 years old? Help me do the math there. So I'm around 24-ish. The most devastating death in my life and has been my grandmother. And telling stories, and this wasn't even intentional, but telling stories at her funeral as we're gathered together with my cousins and telling stories, and I don't even know what the stories were, but they made me crack up laughing. And any of you that know, I mean, my laugh is so unique and original that I even created a laugh app. And I found this out later, but because of me telling those stories and being involved with other stories and me laughing actually helped to facilitate healing right there and then, not just for me, but for my cousin Heather. She told me that later. She said, Tammy, your laugh is what helped me get through the grandma's funeral. So can you see how us sharing our sacred stories can facilitate such monumental happenings and experiences all around us? So what gets uncovered when we do this? We uncover the hidden gems within us when we share our stories. We reconnect to a deeper level within us. And what gets in the way of that? Have you ever been told you're too silly? Have you ever been told, oh, Tammy, that's ridiculous. Why don't you just be quiet? I remember that was going on with Tim's grandfather. Like when Tim and I met and we would come up to the farm and he would be telling stories and I'm just like glued because I didn't have a grandfather that did that. And I just like, I wanted to hear Grandpa. And one of his daughters would come along and say, oh, Daddy, shut up. That's not even funny. I'm like, what? Like, what the hell was that shit? And it's like, no, I want to hear him. I want to hear his stories. So have you ever been told to shut up? Have you ever been told it's ridiculous? Have you ever been required to grow up before your time? That has hidden maybe some of your stories within you? Or being told you need to grow up? Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath on that. And allow that. Just allow that to just be there with us. To breathe into your heart. So just breathe into your heart. And let's like close your eyes for a moment. Take that breath into your heart. And as we're talking about sacred stories, I want us just to breathe into the heart. And I want you to help you to recall a story that made you laugh, that made you smile, that how to ponder the playground within yourself. Can you feel that fun? Like have that intention within the heart space of all the fun times. If you didn't, now's your time to create one. Now's your time to create what you would have wanted, what you did want, what you still want. That's fun, that's joyful, that makes you feel like you want to skip, whether or not your body can, but makes you feel like you want to skip. A story that makes you full of joy when you talk about it, when you think about it. It can be the most embarrassing moment. Oh my goodness, do I got some of those. But I'm not gonna share those where it's being recorded. Oh gosh. Oh, maybe for a later time, girls. Could be a story of a baby being birthed that helps you like, wow, like a whole new level, a new life of, oh, I remember that with my first grandchild being birthed, and I was there with my daughter. Astonishing. Words, wow. Astonishing. Could be about a new love in your life and how you felt in that moment. If it has you grinning ear to ear, if it helps you to have this wave of pure essence that flows through you, you know that's a sacred story. When it turns you on, when it feels like a breath of life is flowing through you. Now, and this is totally about you. This is about you and your story. And the more stories we allow to come back to the forefront of our memory, start to uncover the inner gems we all have. And we start to sparkle and shine from the inside out. From the inside out. And we start to develop a broader understanding and on deeper level of who we are, maybe even how we tick, to feel that vibrancy of our inner gems. That feels delicious. And our awareness starts to grow and expand. Now, as you're thinking about those stories, you know, sometimes we had to, I was actually even thinking, well, maybe I should post this picture in the Facebook group. But here's a story that is so fun. Like I can see it all happening when okay, so I have 5 children. Jenna's the fourth oldest. And one of the things that I wanted to do with all my kids before they graduated high school was either take them on a trip or pay for a trip or create some kind of an outing. And I took Jenna to the ocean. It was her first visit to the ocean. Her would be the summer right before her senior year. And we played full out. We were with a really good friend, Victoria. Vicky is what we called her. And she took us to the ocean. And Jenna was just in awe. Oh, it was so beautiful. She was just in awe. Wow. And all inhibitions were gone. And I didn't care what anybody else thought about me. Remember that saying from the other night? It's none of my business what other people think about me. Remember I told you the writer downer? Write it down if you haven't. If you're brand new on this call, it is none of my business what other people think about me. And we were certainly not prepared to go in the water, Jen and I, because we had our jeans. We had jeans on, so we rolled up our pants as much as we could. I think she even had a pink top on. One of us did, anyway. And we went full out. We were laughing and giggling and you that high-pitched squealing because there was so much joy, and the waves would come and almost knock us over, and our pants got wet up into our crotch. And I can still feel all of that. So that I know that's one of my sacred stories. To not care what any, like I can use that so many places. I can recall that for me whenever I get into this thought. Sometimes, any of you that are moms that ever think, like, was I good enough as a mom? Did I do right by my children? Like, wow, recall that story, Tammy. You did awesome. Especially in that moment, you did awesome. And this experience, that experience with Jenna, has etched its way into both our hearts, and will be with us for the rest of our lives. So if you have your worksheets, if you don't have it, and if you have a piece of paper, I want you to just jot down some ideas. Maybe you have some new things like, oh, I forgot about this one. Oh, yeah, that's probably a sacred story. Or, oh, yeah, go ahead and jot those down. And then after this class, I want you to expand upon that. Those ideas, and write at least one story. You have a full sheet, you can always turn it over and use the back. Okay? Okay. So as you're writing that down, I'm going to go back to the text chat. And okay, let me go see where we started. Okay, Carolyn says, I shared that one. So Diana, so as you're jotting those down, I'm going to share this. Diana says, I need to talk to our grandchildren about our parents that passed away. Start getting out old pictures and tell stories. Thank you. I never thought of doing this. Yes. I was asking tonight before I was creating the worksheet, like, is this really the right thing to bring forth? Thank you, Diana. Confirmation. And also, thank you to the forest people, because the fact that they're showed up, and I can feel and sense and see that we're sitting in a circle around a campfire and they're telling stories, is just like. So Diana continues to say, I wish I had videotapes of our families telling their stories so we could pass that on and hear their voices and laughter, which would be comforting. So it's not too late for you, darling, to do that for you. Do that for you first, even if it's your own voice. But as you talk about your sister, you'll feel her come through. And as you re-listen to that, she'll be embracing you, and so will your mama. I can feel that. Carol says she was required to grow up before her time. Been there, done that. My parents divorced when I was 13. But even before that, needing to take care. I had my first job when I was in 3rd grade, babysitting, and then the summer right before 6th grade, I started working in a restaurant. Yeah, required to grow up before our time, and being sexually abused by a lot of different ways, different people when I was younger, growing up before my time. So Deb says, my sacred story with a big heart. I went to college after my son passed in 99. Our English comp class instructor asked us to write a poem one day for homework. What? Deb says. Deb, how do you do that? She asked. She knew. Okay, so her English comp class instructor knew of Deb's situation. From your heart, Deborah. From your heart. I can feel that. I went back to the dorm room, sat and thought, what can I write about? Tommy? Short story? I went to my bed, kneeled in a praying position, pen and pad on top of bed, and Deb started writing. And it was my son who came through and wrote my first poem. Now, everybody breathe. This is amazing energy that's coming through. Thank you for sharing, Deb. Together Again. It's the title of Deb's first poem that her son came through to write through her. It's healing to write. My second poem I wrote for his headstone. And third story, she started in court and ended up finishing it on 91 freeway, bumper to bumper traffic every day on Wade College for 2 weeks. 3,000 word poem on my experience with his passing. I have chills up and down my legs, Deb. Breathe into your heart, everyone. This is a beautiful sharing. I've told my story and poems to hundreds. Very healing, monumental, life-changing stories. Deb, if you feel so compelled, I'd love you to share your poems in our Facebook group. Learning from all of that gave me, this is Deb continuing, learning from all of that gave me huge joy in my heart. It was healing. I loved learning through that whole experience. It was life-changing for Deb. Deb continues, my dad's Irish family did that taping on old reels. You know what? So did my father and his wife. They did taping on old reels too. And yeah, we need to get those out again. Thank you for that. And where she lives, where Deb lives, she interviewed an elder Native American. Oh my God. That touches me so deep. She did that. Oh, it's a relative. Okay, there's something that resonates with me with that. Okay, so Deb interviewed an elder Native American who's a relative once. It was really nice. Important to keep memories alive with voice and pictures. Okay, thank you. You put it in the sink, darling. Thank you, Kaylee. So, yes. So as you're jotting these things down, thank you for that share, Deb. That was pretty incredible. Do you see how even sharing in this container the Sacred Soul Soiree, how that just exponentially multiplied this energy that we're all in right now, ladies. That it just, I can just expansion, expansion, expansion. And a depth within Mama Earth that's just going down and just, but within us. The expansion is within us. So when I go out and I go that, I mean like it's in us, because we're bringing those stories into us. We're remembering those stories within us, and we're expanding from the inside out. That is the way this work happens, from the inside out. So if you have some water, take a drink. Helps to facilitate the energy. So as we continue, connecting to that sacred part of who we are and our sacred stories that are stored within us. It's not about writing them. Okay, yes, to write them, but more importantly, to share them. One of the stories I want you all to start with and to bring it back, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's Friday. There's another story I want you to write. I want you to imagine, because last night we talked about sacred self. The night before we talked about like sacred pleasure. Sacred play. Sacred self. I want you to write a story. And this will help. There's a reason for this. Trust me on this. I want you to go full out on this. To write, to imagine the most magnificent woman that you look up to, that you admire, and if you don't have one, you imagine her and you write it down. Like, she walks with grace. She's a woman that gives her all to whatever she does, but she never loses track of who she is. She, like, whatever that is, what does she look like? How does she walk? How does she talk? How is she present? How does she hold herself? How does she treat other people? And I want you to bring this back. And if you would, because this will really help, type them out in the group. So people can, because you'll give other people ideas. You'll give other people's ideas. This is step one of creating this story. This and when step two blew my mind and helped facilitate so much within me, like, that I just don't want to say no more, because I don't want to give it. But this is step one of writing the story of the most magnificent woman. And I mean, write it in detail and bring it back. How about we say Friday, so it gives everybody time. Bring it back Friday night. Yeah. And let's keep this conversation going over in Ignite Your Joyful Heart, okay? Yeah. Okay? Y'all with me on this? I'm so excited to see if this, wow, if it does just an inkling of what it did for me, for you. Wow. So create your sacred story of whatever, through the meditation we were already doing. It's in your worksheet. So if you need to go back into that and write that down, commit to something this week, like whether it's a video that you do for your grandchildren, like Diana was talking about, if it's another story, if it's a short, a book of short stories with your poems, Deb. Like start to think of how else you can utilize. Like I shared with you, like I know I need to share the story about their grandma, their Momo, with my kids and my grandkids, about how she was so thrilled, like that joy, that one moment in time when that joy came through her. So commit to telling that a story to at least one person over the next week. And if you need help to find your sacred story, then reach out. This is something I do with my clients. This is some of the work we do. And this is some of the work that we'll expand more into in the 8-month program, the Emerald Compass Sisterhood. And again, I'll share more about that tomorrow night. So are there any, before we go for the night, is there any thoughts, questions, any comments that you want to share before we end for the night? How did this set with everybody? Do you feel like, do you feel a little energized? Do you feel like, or was that too much homework? Are the things I'm sharing with you and suggesting for you to do, to dig more deeper into self, to expand you, is that too much? Is it too much? No? Okay. I just heard a big no. No, it's not too much, Tammy. Let them know what it's going to feel like. Ooh, that was a high voice. Well, I wonder who that is talking through me. Okay, so make sure you reach out if you need anything. We're here to support you. Thank you, Sina. Sina says great homework. Deb says I'm ready to write, never too much. Yes. Okay, ladies. Not too much here, says Carolyn. It feels good to remember good things, good times. Yes. Oh, Sina actually cried with anticipation of her woman. That freaking gave me chills. Like even my vagina said yes to that, Sina. Wow, some womb spaces are opening up. Some vaginas are opening up with this. It's what I need. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. I am so honored. I am honored to be here with each and every one of you. If you have friends that you want to invite them into the group. Invite them to watch these videos. Invite them. Because remember, as of next week, Tuesday at midnight, these videos are no longer going to be in the group. Okay? We're going to take them down. So invite them now and do this work alongside us. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring this space with your presence. This is Tammy Lee with the Sacred Soul Soiree on day 3, talking about sacred storytelling. Good night, everyone.